I'm Bri.
I'm Jacqueline.
And we're creating a community of women leaders who are becoming their most confident, creative, and purposeful selves.
Long ago, we realized that society's playbook didn't work for us. So we created the Modern Woman Show, where we go against the grain, live expansive lives, and create our own playbook.
So come on, be different with us. Hello, welcome back. We're so excited to have you here listening. Today we are really excited to talk about the topic self-awareness. It has been something that Jacqueline and I talk about frequently, that we both admire in each other, and thought it would be a great topic to discuss because it's really important and relative to being a woman in today's society.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we talk about it a lot, but I don't think it could ever be talked about enough. So today we're going to pretty simply break it down and talk about some stories, an experiment we did, and some tools on how to get more of it.
Yes. So when you think about self-awareness in general, what comes to your mind?
Self-awareness, knowing thyself. Without getting too philosophical on everyone, I think it's leadership, just knowing what's going on in your head and heart and acting with intention, because not everything that goes on in our head and our heart, our feelings and our thoughts, not all of them are true. So picking which ones we think are true and going with those. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think about truly knowing yourself, which can be really hard, because there's so much influence. There's so much information out there. There's so many childhood experiences, adult experiences to basically learn, right? We're like lifelong learners, so we're constantly trying to learn more about ourselves and learn what lights us up, why we do the things that we do. And so, yeah, it just makes me think of like really, truly taking the time, like you said, it, intention too, is like really truly knowing yourself and really being intentional and understanding, why.
You know what? Going one level deeper. It's like, why is this important enough for us to talk about, right? Self-awareness. And for me, part of my story is, growing up maybe without as much self-awareness. We all know ourselves to a degree, but not really intentionally increasing it that I was aware of, right? Lack self-awareness. And I lived my life according to the rules that were given to me, which worked and got me what the world thought would make me happy, right? So live life according to the world. You get this great job, you get a husband, you get a baby, you have a house, like the predicted success and happiness. And I'm not saying those things are bad. Those things can be incredible. But I got to a point where my awareness increased and I was like, am I really happy? Am I really successful? Is this really what the path I want to be on? And I determined that it was not. And then I went really deeply into creating the world that was for me. And that involved getting really aware and expanding my awareness of myself, of other people, and of my world. And becoming self-aware was a key ingredient in creating that world, because I became aware of my thoughts. I became aware of my patterns. I could start to filter out which ones were for me and which ones were not for me, and disrupt the ones that were not, disrupt those patterns. And I have a great example of this really fast in career. So I talk, a lot about career with career people, and I've experienced this myself. And when you think about the pattern in your career, it's so obvious when you move from job to job, right? So you have this one job and you want to leave because you don't like your boss. And you're like, I'm going to get a new job. So you get a new job, and what happens? You get another crappy boss. You're like, okay, this place isn't for me. I'm going to leave this job. I'm going to get a new job. You do. And you're like, oh, I'm going to be so happy here. And then you have another crappy boss. And it's like, then you realize what's going on. You disrupt that pattern, and you'll no longer necessarily fall into crappy bosses. Now, sometimes those things can be a fluke, but a lot of times they're patterns that we can disrupt. And so that is when I think about self-awareness, it's a lot of words, but what comes out is like, we are intentional creators, and self-awareness is a key ingredient in creating our own worlds, which impacts the world around us and honestly makes this world a more intentional place, which is very much needed right now.
Totally. Well, and I just got chilled when you were talking about creating the life that you want, which is essentially what you brought awareness to when you were realizing that every job you were at, you were creating a pattern of bosses you didn't like. And what's amazing to me, though, is the ability to say, okay, what part do I play in this story? And that's the self-awareness right there. And I just think it is so vital, especially in our fast-moving world today, because it's so easy to just say, hate the boss, and moving on. And then you get wrapped up in that negativity, and then you get wrapped up in talking about why and justifying why it makes, rather than taking, accountability and saying, what can I do? Like, what is possible for me right now? And it's a very scary thought when you start to build that self-awareness, because your first immediate thought naturally is guilt and shame on your brain. When you start taking accountability for your actions and become really self-aware, it's very normal to feel all those thoughts that come with it, right? Well, did I deserve this? Did I cause this? All those things. And I think self-awareness isn't about making yourself feel bad. It's about knowing that we're human, knowing that, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad. It's not eliminating the bad to have more good. It's about being conscious and taking the time and cutting the space in your day-to-day life to, like you said, recognize those patterns. And just be aware of, is this something that's lighting me up? Or am I creating a cycle and a system that has become my life that is beating me down day by day? And 100%. I think that's why we're such happy people. It's not that we don't go through hard things. I think it's also because we're just really good at setting ourselves up for success in creating the time to reflect and be aware of what our thoughts are telling us, why we're thinking these things. If we're being triggered by something, taking that as information and trying to marinate on that a little bit to heal from that and understand why that's a trigger for us, and understanding and being conscious of why we do the things we do. Because I think we're also really good at understanding and knowing that when we're self-aware and when we're loving beings to ourselves, that's going to be projected out. So if we're creating cycles for ourselves and forgetting about self-awareness, we're just going to be a part of the system. And we're also going to be putting out that energy to our communities, to our work life, to our families. And so that's why self-awareness is so vital.
Oh my gosh, 100%. And I got the chills too. It's very simply, our worlds respond to our thoughts. What we think and what we do creates our world. It's a formula.
Yeah.
And that when we say we're powerful and we have this power, that's what we're talking about. We have the power to literally create the world around us. So everything we do is a creation, whether it's a good creation or a creation we don't like, a bad one. We did that. So when I think about the boss example, I think about, maybe it was a fluke that you ran into all these horrible bosses, or what in those individuals did you not like? And I think about, a boss I've had before. I'm like, oh, I didn't like how stressed out they always were. I'm like, okay, so is that a pattern? Yeah, always stressed out and kind of, grumpy toward me and our team. Great. Well, where can I find that within myself or within my own world? Where am I always stressed out? And again, it's not about pointing the finger and thinking badly about myself and getting down on myself for being so stressed and grumpy. It's about realizing it and accepting it and being a leader about it and be like, okay, accept it. If you were in a work situation and somebody gave you that feedback, that would be something that you would need to process and be like, okay, like, this is how we're going to move through it. And a lot of times it's looking at it and just being aware that it exists inside of us is what moves us through it to the other side. And I'm not saying like all of a sudden you realize you're a stressed out person and all of a sudden you're not stressed out anymore. There are probably some habits that go into that help you create a more stress-free life. But this is an example of what that transformation and intentional creatorship can look like in life. And so, yeah, when we say powerful, it's like you can literally create every single aspect of your being, of your life, of the people around you, of what you have, of what you don't have. It's like, it can go on. And so I'll just pull myself out of that vortex for a second.
I totally agree. And I think, I want to be clear too, we're totally not discounting that life and things are hard. It's not this simple, like, you have the power to change your day. Like,
right.
Totally understand that it is a process and sometimes it's a lifelong process, but we just want to give you permission and let you know that it's possible. And it's possible to take it day by day and change some things. And one of those ways that we helped make that change was through our experiment of journaling.
Experiment time. Okay, you want to describe the experiment, Bri?
Sure, yeah. So basically we decided for this task to bring more self-awareness into our life and to really reflect on it was journaling every day. So one of the ways that I do that, I used to do that on my phone through notes. And as a child, I used to do that through writing in a journal. And as I've gotten older, it's been a little bit harder for me to take pen to paper. For whatever reason, I love writing as a musician and songwriting, but when it comes to just putting all the thoughts that are in my brain down, I really struggle with writing. And so I was like, how can I effectively journal without doing the pen to paper? And that was through Growth Day. Shout out to Jacqueline. Thank you so much. And like, the whole team behind Growth Day, I appreciate you because you introduced it to me. You gifted me the most amazing package and application, and that's what I used. And I used the talk to text. So every morning and every night, I would typically do it twice a day. I would wake up and be like, okay, what am I feeling today? What am I going to do? What am I going to accomplish? Did I have any dreams that I want to remember? And then at night, I would say, how was my day? And if I had nothing to say and I was like, I'm having really a hard time, Growth Day also gives you prompts. Well, if I was like, we said we were going to write every day, but nothing like is really standing out to me right now, I would just pick one of the prompts and reflect on it.
Thank you for sharing that. Oh, I love that. I'm biased toward Growth Day because I helped bring it to life, but journaling it's really powerful. If, again, a blank piece of paper or a blank screen can be really intimidating. And for me, journaling is a brain dump. Mm-hmm. My mind is very active. It's active in human design, if you're familiar. And so there's always a million things happening. And I use it to brain dump and clear things out. It's like, what's going on in there? I don't know. Can I make sense of it in the moment? No. But sometimes I'll go back and read them and it's like, wow, there's a lot happening in there. And it also just brings a sense of centeredness after doing that. Sometimes I have things to write about. Sometimes I had a thought that I want to make sure I capture. Sometimes I'm writing something for work and, it's like, honestly, it's a million different things. There's really no rhyme or reason to my journaling, but the prompts are nice. It's very intentional. about guiding your own life. And so I really appreciate those. And before I was in Growth Day, I was writing on blank Google documents, and they're all over the place. It's not organized at all. So I don't go look at them because I don't know where they are.
It's so true. And Growth Day, it's like in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's like, yeah. The other thing that I really learned, so obviously there's a huge benefit to, like you were talking about, dumping. I am one of those people who have a lot of things in my head. And so when I put it on paper, it alleviates so much pressure, stress, whatever, to keeping all those thoughts in my head and reminders, whatever. And so it's also really nice to put those down on paper and basically have a system that helps me. It's like my own little assistant that is myself. And so then it just like, it takes it out of my brain, it puts it on paper, it makes me feel like safe, because then I'm like, okay, even if I forget it, which is human and normal, I have this to help me remember. And I never used to look back at past journal entries, but with Growth Day, since they're all there, I mean, anytime I'm about to do a new entry, I can see older entries. And for the first time ever, I was having a really hard day, and one of the ways that I tried to empower myself was by reading old entries.
How'd that go?
I was so inspired by myself, because also one of the things is like, when you're having great days, or when you have a great dream, or you just got a great like job promotion, or something awesome happens, I also journal. So when something great was happening, I was reflecting on it, or if I healed a part of myself, I reflected on it. And so being able to reread my own growth was life-changing.
That's incredible.
It was amazing. I mean, and it sounds really cheesy and corny, and but truly, I had no idea how much I could really lean on myself too, which was also kind of subconsciously healing, to be able to have that trust with myself and be able to, on a bad day, say like, good job, Bri. Like, today's a bad day. That's normal. This is temporary. Because look at all these journal entries of amazing experiences you've had, different things that are coming soon. You know, yeah, I'm very grateful, and it was very powerful for me. And I highly recommend, if you're not a journaler, figuring out a way to, if you're not a pen to paper, downloading Growth Day and using the app for journaling.
Yeah, it's really powerful in goal setting too. And because it makes your thoughts tangible.
Right.
And I'm not saying like go put all your goals. There's actually a plan section in Growth Day, but in journaling itself, it's like I want to do this with my life. It's something that I would journal about, right? And then I go back and read. I'm like, oh yeah, I still want to do that. Let's make that happen. So I do love some journaling, and I'm so happy that you had such a great experience with it so far. And you inspired me, because even though I work at a company that creates a journal, I'm not perfect. Like every day, there wasn't always a journal entry in there, and you pushed me. So thank you. Yeah. I think one of my favorite tools as well with self-awareness is meditation. Meditation also used to be very intimidating, and I have been working with a coach for years. And one of the first things she taught me was how to meditate and basically just become aware of my body. And that was really helpful. I'm also, again, a very actively minded person. And so my mind is just like all over the place. And meditation is literally the practice of just centeredness and awareness. And the Calm app has been really helpful as well. I'm not saying you need apps to do all these things, but it is fun and makes habit tracking easier. And there's so many ways to do it in the Calm app. And so it's another way, I think, to brain dump, to restore energy. Our eyes are always focused on things like screens. And to just get an energetic reset, whether it's in the morning, at the end, or in the middle, at the end of your day. And I think it's really important to take that mental break. It does a lot more things as well. I mean, you can take a meditation class, a million of them, and they'll tell you all the crazy, awesome things that happen with meditation. But when it comes to awareness, I think it just like, you're more centered. And so you are more aware of what's going on inside of you.
Yes. Cool. Right. It's opportunities to pause and reflect. And I think that really sets you up for being more conscious of your thoughts and your actions, which is self-awareness. So
I think meditation too is funny because I think of it like exercise. So I know personally the benefits of exercise. After 1 week, I don't necessarily see new muscle, but after 12 weeks, I look and feel very different. And when I meditate daily or often or in the habit of it, I feel very different. But after 1 week, I don't necessarily feel much different. So it's another one of those habitual things that I've put into my life that over years has changed me fundamentally. But starting out, I was like, what the heck is this? What is this thing? Yeah. And then lastly, I'll let you talk about this, but I think human design is an amazing tool for self-awareness. An app that I love is My Human Design. And there are so many ways to get your human design. You don't have to do an app. But Jenna Zoe created a free version of that app that will literally guide you through your design. And I think everybody, especially women, should pull it for themselves and their kids if they have them, or their husbands or wives or whoever if they have them. But what do you love about human design and self-awareness, Bri?
Yeah, no, I think these are all amazing tools for meditation, journaling, growth day, and human design. I think all of them essentially in common have the ability to help you go inward. And all of these give you the opportunity to create your own self-awareness on your own terms, rather than giving you the map to self-awareness based on other people's experiences and stories. And so human design is just another vessel of that. And I felt so unbelievably affirmed when I learned about my human design. And I still go back and I still ask you questions of like, hey, I'm experiencing this right now. Like, I thought that my design was X, Y, and Z. And you'd be like, yeah, that's so interesting. Let me elaborate on that. And you also are an amazing guide of just helping me process. But human design, I think I loved it the most because it's catered to each individual. I didn't feel like I fit in the category of 1 of 9 personalities or something. It was like Bri Dimmitt's design. And that just made me feel like, because I truly feel I'm uniquely my own. And, you know, we have so many similarities as a community and in life, but human design was a way for me to reflect on my own self, which I think is really important when it comes to self-awareness, rather than comparing to other different designs or experiences of other people. So
100%. Yeah. It pulls up as a map, but it's literally the map back to yourself.
Right. 100%.
And yeah, even if a few aspects of it are resonate more deeply than some of the other aspects of it, though, like dive into those and just contemplate them. It's an experiment. And this isn't something that you just like do it dogmatically and then all of a sudden you're a more self-aware person.
Totally.
It's definitely a pick it up when it feels right and put it down when you've had enough, and contemplation of it, whether it's active or inactive. And over time, things just start to connect and make sense. And you realize things about yourself that never dawned on you before. And then you start to question why you always did things a certain way. And you're like, that's actually not how I like to do things. I should try it this way. And then when you try it the new way, it's like bliss. And that's a really messy way to describe it, but I appreciate your reflection of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so whether it's meditation, growth day, journaling, whatever, self-awareness is vital to, just your success as a woman in today's society. So we have more tools that we'll post in the description and on our website. You can always learn more. But thank you so much for tuning in today. We're so glad you're here.
We love being here with you. Thank you so much, and keep being different.